Welcome, people of planet Earth and all planets beyond. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Josh, and welcome to Heat Check Vintage Levi's Edition, where we take a look at the top 10 largest Levi's sales over the last 7 days on eBay. So let's get into the list. So this week's list is comprised of quite a few different items. There's sort of a smattering of a bunch of different stuff, so some pretty interesting stuff. A couple of unusual oddball items that I think are super cool, so definitely excited about those. But if you haven't watched one of these before, the way this works is I've done as much research as I can to confirm that these are the legit top 10. They haven't been, shill bid up, they haven't been canceled, they haven't been relisted and stuff like that. Obviously, there can still have stuff slip through the cracks, but for the most part, this is the best that I think we can do it all to confirm that these are the top 10 prices, just to give you an idea of what's really going on the top end of the market. Obviously, eBay isn't the only place that other people buy vintage Levi's. There's vintage Levi's sold all over the place, but for what it's worth, this is a good idea of the top of the line market for vintage Levi's, so hopefully it's entertaining. So let's go ahead and let's dive in. Starting us off at number 10, we have these vintage Levi's 501 red lines from the late 70s, super thrashed, super distressed, but super cool looking, super great. They got some holes right there on the crotch, which is pretty typical when they get this thrashed. There's probably going to be a hole or a wear inside the crotch area. Tag is on here confirming it, the late 70s. We got a 6 on there. I mean, this is a great pair of jeans. This is a solid pair of and a great example of late 70s selvage denim. Tags is also pretty War II as well. But everything looks good on this thing. This guy sold for a flat $300 plus shipping. So really cool pair of jeans here. A little bit on the lower end of the price scale, but that makes a little bit of sense because of how thrashed these are. Now at number 9, we have an oddball. I told you there would be a little bit more oddball stuff on here. And this doesn't normally make the list because it tends to sell, lower than most of the other, higher end Levi's items. But this is one of my favorite Levi's items, and it's the orange tab denim trucker hat. It's got a leather patch. I mean, this is just fantastic. This is one of my dream items to find in the wild. I've been searching for a long time for it. I will find it at one point or another. It's got the mesh, but it does not have foam inside, so it doesn't all fall apart. That's so fantastic. A lot of these old hats have that foam on the inside that just eventually falls apart. Just have a little bit of an error, or that's the tag right there. So otherwise, it looks like it's in fantastic condition considering its age. But this guy sold for $359.99. Definitely one of the coolest and dopest Levi's items that there is. Now, next up, I told you the oddball stuff would continue, and here it is. We have this super interesting Levi's award from 1987. It's the Region of the Year, West Coast. It's a shocker that there was the Region of the Year. It's a trophy, and it looks like these are mini denim jeans. I don't think it's ceramic. I think it actually is denim. This is a fantastic thing. I would absolutely love this. I mean, this would be one of those just lovely things that I love, that I would love to have in my room. We've got the looks like it's a big E on there too, which is interesting because 87, the big E would have been long since retired from the tab. So that's, yeah, look at that big E. It's pretty interesting there that they used the big E tab, sort of proving that they still had some respect, and that the big E was sort of somewhat of a significant difference and change in the way that the company did stuff, so that using it later on made some sense. But anyway, such a cool little thing right here, sold for $370. I wish I had been paying attention because this is definitely something I would have loved to own. I guess I'll have to keep looking in the future. Now, next up, we have a Type 3 denim jacket. There's actually several of these Type 3 denim jackets on this list this week. Partly due to not having such, the higher number of big end sales, but this is a Type 3. It's beautiful. Look at the color. There's plenty of deep color in this jacket. It is a big E. Let's see if we can see that. Yeah, we can see that it is a big E. So this is probably from the very early 70s or very late 60s. Hard to be much more exact than that at this point, considering it does have a tag in there, so I imagine this would probably be more on the 71, 72 time frame, and it just ended up still having one of these big E tabs. But otherwise, it looks fantastic. There are some stains on the inside. It is surprising because, I mean, I've sold these before, and I was not, I've sold these several times before. I don't necessarily know that I've ever had, well, I've probably had at least one or two jackets that looked this good. But the price of these definitely seems to be going up. The Type 3 Big E denim jackets, this went for $400 or $399.99 plus shipping. So pretty impressive sale right there. It could be a sign that these, Big E Type 3's values are going up as they get maybe more scarce. Now we have a pair of 501s, single stitch red lined, number 6, Big E. So these are probably from the late 60s or so. Let's take a look at what we have here. Lots of measurements, which is always helpful. Look on the inside, I don't see a V stitch, so we're obviously looking at late 60s, potentially early 70s. That would be my guess. All in all, yeah, probably late 60s, early 70s. If sometimes you can find these, he's got the black bar tacks. You see that right there, so it's probably, yeah, definitely early 70s. But it's a great pair of jeans. This is a fantastic color. It's got quite a bit more color in some of these areas. Some cool whiskering and some marbling effects, which are super great. It does have a little bit of a raw hem, so it looks like somebody had cut off the hem to shorten these up a little bit. They are a smaller size, 27, 29, which can sort of, it just depends. It can affect the price. Sometimes it can make it more valuable, and sometimes it makes it less valuable. So it sort of depends. But this pair was a great pair that did sell for $400 plus shipping. So it took a little bit of a discount, but it's a great pair of vintage redline Selvish denim jeans. Next up, we have a 1960s Levi's Big E, again Type 3. Here we go again with the Big E, but this is sold for a little bit more. Sold for $426 plus shipping, probably because of the size. The condition looks great. Like, the color looks good too. So that's a big plus. But it's a size 48, which is sort of an XL size, which is harder to come by, especially from this era. With the Big E and stuff. So I'm definitely guessing that I'm not seeing the tag that would be under there. So it definitely feels like this one is probably more late 60s or sometime in the 60s, mid to late 60s, rather than the previous one we saw, which was definitely probably around the turn of the decade. So the color on this is great. It does have some imperfections, but still beautiful jacket. There's the 52 on the tab, on the button, excuse me. Fantastic, good size, good sale, $426. Making our way into the fourth spot, we have an interesting one here. We have this vintage, I don't know why they say 90s, because this is not a 90s 501, but this looks like it's from 1981. It does have the 3-digit factory code and our 1981 date code. But this is a big size. Look at this, size 50 by 32. That's a pretty wide jean. That's pretty hard to come by. 46 and 48 or tend to be like the outer limits of what is sort of common. But it is selvage, so it's one of those 80s selvage jeans, which are a little bit harder to come by. It's got quite a few buttons there, probably a few more than normal. But beautiful color. Look at that deep blue color. Probably washed only a couple times. So it makes sense. This one sold for $479.99 with free shipping from Van Buren, Arkansas, not far from where I am at currently. Maybe I could have been the one that found this, but oh well. Super cool pair of jeans. Now at number 3, we have the third showing of the Type 3, but this one is the earlier version of the Type 3, the 557, which tends to be a bit shorter on the run and the length. But what a beautiful deep indigo blue. I mean, this thing is dark. I mean, obviously the contrast with the white background helps it out, but there's so much rich color left in this thing. The tag looks like it's barely been touched, so this has probably not been washed all that often, if ever. Let's see, is that a size? Looks like it might be a size 40. It's a bit on the smaller side. Yeah, size 40. But what beautiful color. Maybe it's never been washed. Probably not. And there's a little bit of wear on the neck. That's probably just from actually wearing it. But this is a beautiful jacket. Definitely deserves to be high on this list because it's, I mean, the color is so rich. And it's hard to find color that this deep. But this one sold for $600 plus shipping, which though I will point out, this is another interesting shipping situation. By all accounts, as far as I can tell, this has actually sold. But we have another item being sold from Ukraine. I mean, that just seems odd to me. Obviously, not the whole country is completely shut down and locked down, but it is odd that you would see items coming from the Ukraine, and that somebody would spend $600 on an item from Ukraine. I don't know, but it is a beautiful jacket, and if all of it's legit, it's definitely probably worth the $600, if not even more, to be honest. Probably if you put it up on auction, it might have gone for a little bit more just because of how deep the color is, the shortened versions of these jackets aren't necessarily as popular, at least in my experience, though I could be wrong about that. They seem to be a little bit less desirable than some of the longer versions that are a little bit more wearable for the modern person, but still a super dope jacket here. Now at number 2, we have a pair of 505s. 505s keep making this list, and it's kind of funny because I haven't sold a 505 this old in a while, but a number of years ago, 505s from this era did not seem to go for as much, but we definitely have a beautiful 505 here, big E. I don't think they say it's not Selvish. I don't believe they would have shown that. You can see the single stitch in the back pocket. We have a 4, which makes sense. You have the overlock sort of seam here, so no selvage on this one. But this one sold. I mean, I'm routinely now surprised at the value that people are getting out of these 501s. These 505s. But this one sold for $800 plus shipping. So they did take an offer. This guy, Primetime Vintage, actually has a number of these for sale. And so a lot of shipping there too, expedited shipping. He did have a number of these 505s for sale. So I imagine they're going to go pretty quick. Because these are beautiful. There's a lot of color left in this guy right here. So keep an eye out for those, turn of, 60s, 70s 505s, because they seem to be going up and up and in demand for sure. Now, before we get to number 1, I want to remind you we do have a heat check just like this on Thursdays for vintage t-shirts, so check that out if you're interested in the vintage t-shirt market. Otherwise, let us know which of these are your favorites. What do you think about some of those oddball things? Let us know in the comments below, and if you like this format of video, we will keep doing it. On to number 1. Now, number 1 is this vintage Levi's dead stock 501s. This is a dead stock pair of jeans. They are 40 by 30, which is rather large, considering. You can see that this have damage on the back of the patch. Sometimes this was done by when there was a dead stock pair, they would destroy it. It doesn't make a lot of sense why they would do that, but sometimes they would do that to protect the inventory. You see companies do that today when they throw stuff away. But anyways, this is a beautiful dead stock pair, shrink to fit, and that's why honestly it commanded the price that it did, is because it is still unshrunk from being worn. So if you want this pair of jeans to fit you like and shrink to your body shape and size, this is the jean for you. This one went for $1,554 with 24 bids that got it there with plus shipping. And that makes sense to some degree because this old vintage Selvish shrink to fit is rarer and rarer and rarer, because once you buy it and you put it on, and it starts shrinking to your body, the unshrunk population of 501s just diminishes from that point on. So it is a smaller and smaller population of these jeans that are available to be that are in unshrunk condition. So if you find one of these, definitely pick them up. Even the ones from the early 90s go for quite a bit of money. So though they're not selvage, they still do go for quite a bit of cash. So that is the #1 Levi's jean sold on eBay this week. What a beauty and a rare one for sure. Now that was a top 10, and again, you know what my favorite was, is that super dope little award, that Levi's award. Can you imagine it just like going up here on one of these shelves? It'd be so dope. But maybe we'll have to find another one from some other era. This one is also from '87, so it would like match. It would be perfect. But anyway, some cool stuff on that list this week. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.